Well, I knew when I made that first video about the Nashville shooting that I was going to get shit like this. And it hasn't been much, but this person said it has nothing to do with defending the shooter. It completely disrespects the trans community to misgender anyone on purpose. The reality is, and what it boils down to is, the trans community can feel about this however they want, but the bottom line is that is their prerogative and that is their problem and their trigger to deal with. We are disrespecting an individual person with no ill intent towards anybody else. So you can love it, you can hate it, but the bottom line is this person was a piece of garbage. And just like Jeffrey Dahmer, I wouldn't go around talking about Jeffrey Dahmer like he was a great man and a good person. He's a piece of shit that loses all right to be treated like a human being because he's a scumbag. Period. End of discussion. Then you go on and try to have a sensible back and forth with them, but they don't want to hear it. You tell them things like, my rights don't end where yours begin, and so on and so forth, and just like that for them as well. And you can't force people, and you shouldn't be allowed to force people and enact laws that force people to have their speech forced in a certain way or force people to address people a certain way. I don't care what you call me, and the government shouldn't, or the people at large shouldn't be allowed to force you to address me a certain way if you disagree with it. And that's the bottom line. There's no ill will towards trans people. Some people just don't agree with it, and they should not be forced to cater to other people's feelings. And you should not be forced to cater to mine, because that's unconstitutional. And in the typical liberal leftist bonehead nonsense fashion, they say shit like, well, you're not educated on the topic. That's why you made the video. You have zero idea what you're talking about. Actually, in my 12 years in my previous line of work, I ran into numerous transgender people where I've had both good and bad conversations with them, confrontational and non-confrontational conversations with them. And I've done tons of research, both through conservative sources, liberal sources, scientific sources, psychological sources. So I doubt you've done all that research when you stand on your soapbox and point your finger at people and you look down your nose at people that disagree with you. And then there's the good old, you don't get to disagree with someone's existence. Trans people exist. It's real whether you believe it or not. And this is typical liberal and leftist fucking nonsense when you're thinking with emotions rather than trying to have a civil, educated conversation. No one at any point in any of my previous videos, nowhere did I do anything to discredit the existence of anyone. That's just nonsensical, stupid bullshit. You spewing nonsense because you have no argument, because you're not tough enough in here to be able to have an educated conversation. So you sit here and you say stupid stuff like this. There's no one questioning anybody's existence, but like I said before, you should not be able to force me or anyone else. And at no point did I say I agree or disagree with trans people. At no point did I say I'm pro or against trans people. You fucking assumed because I took the stance that no one should be allowed to force anyone to think or say a way they're not comfortable with, period. Because that's all you're asking for, right? Right? No. You want people to conform, and you want everyone else's rights to end when it suits you. Grow up.